I just feel like life isn't worth living anymore. I feel very, very down and sad and depressed, and I don't feel like I want to live anymore. Well, why is that happening to you? Why do you feel so down and depressed and miserable? I just don't know. I feel so weak inside. I don't know. I don't feel good. I just feel like something's not right with me. I just don't feel happy and fulfilled and stuff. I don't know what's going on. Why is this happening to you? Do you think that you're suffering from some type of depression? I feel like life is just not worth living anymore. I feel very down and sad and miserable and stuff. My brain hurts. All I can think about is just going to sleep forever, so to speak. Why is that happening to you? Why are you so down and depressed? You have a lot to live for. You can run really fast. Why are you depressed? I just don't know anymore. I just feel like life isn't worth living. I feel super down, man. I feel so weak and sad and depressed, etc. Why do you feel down and depressed? You can run really fast, you have everything going for you, but you're depressed and sad and miserable. Why is this happening to you? I just don't know. I just don't know. I just feel down and depressed and miserable. Whoa, okay, but why is that happening to you? Have you properly thought about it? Why you're depressed and sad? I just don't know. I just feel down and depressed and sad. I just can't be bothered right now. Well, that's very concerning. You have a lot to live for. I don't know why you're so down and depressed and sad and miserable. Maybe you can start doing the things that you like. I might cheer you up. I just don't feel like it's worth it anymore. I feel so down and depressed and miserable and sad. Come on, man, you can cheer up. Come on, Small Sonic, you can cheer up. No, Big Sonic, I can't. I just feel so down and weak and sad and depressed and miserable. Well, why is that the case? Why are you depressed? Just tell me something about it. I don't know, I just feel sad and down and depressed. I just don't know why. I can't explain it. Well, you have to kind of think about it very carefully, Small Sonic. I mean, you got a lot to live for. Why are you depressed and sad and miserable? I just don't know anymore. I feel down and sad. I just feel like I just want to go to sleep forever. Alright, Small Sonic. Well, hopefully you can climb out of this pit of depression and stuff. Thank you, Big Sonic, for your support. No problem, Small Sonic. Are you depressed? Alright, so this is gonna be a video about depression and stuff. This is gonna be very controversial and kind of on the edge and stuff, like, you know what I mean by that, I might, this is gonna be very on the edge. It's gonna be very controversial, so to speak. It's gonna be very hard to properly talk about it. But let's just now talk about depression and stuff like that. So depression is so serious. It's like a very serious issue that a lot of people are dealing with now, especially, which is kind of weird, but I'll explain to you why that would be weird. But depression is kind of very it's kind of like, well, first of all, what is depression? It's just, I don't know, it's very difficult to properly define depression, right? It's like when you just don't feel like life is worth living anymore, you know what I mean? That's what what depression is, right? It's like when everything just feels horrible and bad, even the things that you should like doing, like, I don't know what you should like I don't know what your personal hobbies and interests are, but even those things, they just feel horrible and bad. Everything just feels and tastes bad, so to speak, you know what I mean? Everything's just horrible. Everything feels horrible. Everything is horrible. It feels like the entire world is like just falling on your shoulders. You know what I mean? You just feel down and depressed and sad and stuff. You don't feel good. That's how I would define depression. It's just like when you don't feel good, you feel down even more than you usually should be feeling down. Now you feel. I'm kind of being stupid. I'm kind of all over the place. I mean, you feel that life is just horrible. even though like it's kind of very, depression. It's like very hard to properly define. It's like when your head just feels like it's like when your head hurts and your body and your heart hurts and stuff like this. Not physically, but like more, it's weird, like more psychologically. Like you're experiencing like a psychological pain. That's what depression is like. It's like you don't have any real like physical problems with your body and your face and your hands and your whatever. Like, you know what I mean? You're not physically like hurt, so but you feel like pain. Like depression is like psychological pain. You feel pain psychologically. I don't know. It's so weird. It's hard to properly define depression, even though like you don't have any like physical deformities and any physical injuries, but you still feel pain psychologically. That's what depression is when you feel pain, but it's like psychological and it's like more emotional and stuff like that. More maybe spiritual as well. I don't know. Depression is kind of like that. It's like when you feel pain psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. You don't feel pain physically. That's depression. It's so weird. You don't feel pain physically, as in like you have some type of injury on your body or something. You feel pain psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally. Like it's so weird. That's what depression is. Depression is like when you feel pain psychologically and spiritually and emotionally. You feel pain psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally. It's not like you have some type of injury on your body and that's why you're like kind of feeling like shit. You know, that's not why depression is so weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain it. Again, it's like you're experiencing pain, but it's not physically physical. I mean, obviously it's physical because your brain is like a physical thing. It's like your brain's physical, and the neurotransmitters, you can kind of dissect those and stuff like that. Well, I'm kind of mumbling again, but what I mean by physically, it's not like you're physically like it's not like you're physically hurt, like someone's got a knife and cut your fingers off or something like this. But depression is like you're experiencing psychological pain. That is so weird. Psychological, emotional, spiritual pain. That's like so bizarre. That's why depression is so weird. It's so hard to talk about it as well properly. That's why I'm mumbling so much in this video. Depression is like you're not feeling any type of physical pain. Physical, like as in you got like some injury on your body, or it's not like someone got a knife out and cut your fingers off or something like that. Depression is like when you're experiencing psychological, spiritual, emotional pain. That's what I mean. That's what depression is when your pain is psychological and it's emotional and spiritual and stuff like that. That's so weird. That's so weird. And it's so hard to properly talk about this. That's why I keep mumbling in this video. Man, I can't even talk about this properly. It's like, depression. It's like when your pain, you experience this type of psychological, spiritual, emotional type of pain. It's so weird, man. I don't know. But all right, so let's get on to why you might be experiencing depression. Again, I mentioned that depression is you're experiencing pain psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. That's so bizarre. Your body hasn't been physically injured at all, so you should like pain in this regard. Like, you should not be experiencing pain, but like a lot of people, they have this psychological, emotional, spiritual pain. It's not physical. Like, it's not like someone got a knife out and cut your fingers off, but you're depressed. You feel this type of depression. It's like you're experiencing like this type of psychological pain, emotional, spiritual pain. It's so bizarre. Okay, so obviously, why are you depressed? Like, are you depressed? Why are you depressed? And stuff like this. And these types of questions are kind of ultimately, it's kind of pointless to ask these types of questions, because like it's such an like the reason you're depressed is just completely, you have your own personal problems and issues and stuff like that I can't really relate to. So it's kind of, even like bringing these types of questions up is kind of pointless. But you have to kind of, typically, depression usually it comes from some type of typically you are either typically it can either be the result of some type of genetic health problem. Like maybe you might just be genetically predisposed to being depressed because your neurotransmitters aren't like wired properly or something like that. The chemicals in your head aren't properly properly like making you happy, so you're depressed. You know what I mean? Like something like that. It could be you could be depressed because of some genetic health problems. Obviously, you could be depressed because of maybe you're on a bad diet, and your diet is you're not feeding your body properly, and so your neurotransmitters aren't working properly, and so you're depressed. That could be the issue. Or it could be because you experienced some type of trauma in your childhood, and that could be why you're depressed as well. Also, what else? So yeah, so far depression, I mentioned that depression could be the result of some type of genetic health problems. You might have inherited some type of bug in your brain, and that's why you're depressed. or it could be because you got a bad diet and you're not feeding your body properly, and that's why you're experiencing this type of psychological pain. Your neurotransmitters aren't functioning properly because you're not eating the right foods. That could be why. Or it could be because you have some type of trauma in your childhood, and that, basically that's a lot more complex. You might have suffered some type of trauma in your childhood, or maybe not even in your childhood. Maybe you suffered some type of trauma right now or during your adult years or something like that, and that's why you're depressed. These issues are super tricky to discuss properly, but depression is so serious, man. Again, it's not, depression is like when you experience pain psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. That's why it's so weird and bizarre. Let's just look at the world in a very scientific way. Depression is so weird because you're experiencing pain psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. That's so bizarre. Because pain, it makes sense if you're physically hurt and you get that type of pain response. That's because in terms of evolution, that would have helped you stay alive. But pain psychologically is so bizarre. That's what depression is. You're experiencing pain psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. What do I mean by spiritually? Because as in in the sense, it's not your physical body isn't bruised or damaged in any way, but you have this pain, and it can only be inside of your mind, and that's so bizarre. You have this type of psychological, spiritual, emotional pain. Depression, man, is so important. Obviously, so far, again, I covered that depression could be the result of some type of genetic health problem. Maybe you inherited some type of genetic problem, and that messes up your neurotransmitters. Or it could be because you're not eating the right foods. A bad diet, bad nutrition, that could be contributing to your depression. Or you could have suffered some type of trauma in your childhood, that could be contributing to your depression. Or maybe not even your childhood. Maybe you experienced some type of trauma recently. You might have lost a loved one, or you might have gone into an accident or something similar to this or something like that. That might be the reason why you're depressed. But depression is so bizarre, right? Because depression is not, you're not physically, it's not like your body's been physically injured and damaged, right? Depression is when you're experiencing psychological, spiritual, emotional pain. That's so bizarre. And there's no type of, it's very hard to properly define depression. Again, obviously it's when you're just feeling shit, you don't feel good at all. But it's so bizarre. Depression, again, is when it's psychological pain. It's when you're experiencing some type of psychological pain, emotional, spiritual pain. You don't feel good and stuff. That's what depression is. And so it's bizarre, obviously. And of course, there's a variety of different reasons why you could be personally experiencing depression. I can't, obviously, you have your own, anyone that's watching this video, you have your own personal problems and stuff like that. So I can't even relate to you in this video. I'm just kind of help you think about this, right? Depression, that's a psychological, emotional, spiritual pain. All right, so yeah, and I already discussed, right? What could be the causes of your depression? All right, so let's get on to how you could maybe kind of treat your depression if you suffer from depression, or if you are depressed and stuff like this. If you're depressed, I would first of all, diet is so important. People don't really, they don't appreciate the impact your diet has on your mental health, because obviously your brain, your brain is obviously you have your mind and your intelligence and your thinking part of your brain, and that's it's a little bit metaphysical. It's kind of more abstract and stuff. But obviously your brain is still a physical organ. It's a physical thing in this material world, you know what I mean? So if you're depressed, that could be this physical organ that you have in your head, it's not properly fed, or you're not giving it the right nutrients and fuel. That's why you're depressed, because your brain, the neurotransmitters in your head, they're not working properly because you're not eating the right foods. So in terms of treating depression, you could just maybe really carefully look into what is the best diet. What is a good diet? What diet suits your needs? You could look into that. You can try to flip your diet around, change your diet up. Obviously, get rid of processed foods. Eat more healthy, whole foods. Obviously, that's common sense advice. Just take a lot of the common sense advice on diet, health, and nutrition. Obviously, so in terms of treating depression, you could just change your diet up. Consume a diet that's more nutritionally adequate for you. I don't know. In terms of that's one way to treat depression. Another way is you might be depression. Typically, if you're the more you would want to focus on improving your social life. I know this sounds what social life. Typically, when you're the more isolated you are, the more lonely you are. Typically, that does predispose you to becoming more depressed and sad and miserable. like human beings, we are very social animals. We developed in tribes, in communities. We didn't develop on our own, isolated away from like the community, the tribe. Like you, so in terms of like treating your depression, you should kind of consider focusing on improving your social life. Meet with other people and stuff. You can get into conversations with other people, talk to other people. That could help kind of treat your depression. So because we developed in like tribes and communities and stuff. So our brains, when we're socializing and stuff, that kind of makes there's like some parts in our brain that get like that just feel better when we socialize and stuff. So get out there more, try improving your social life. That could kind of kill a lot of your depression. So in terms of treating your depression, I discussed that. So far I discussed that you can kind of like work on your diet more, eat a better, healthier, more nutritious diet. Focus on socializing more, meet people, talk to people, communicate with people. That might help kill your depression. So what else? This is gonna sound kind of like a little bit wishy-washy and woo-woo, but you can kind of maybe even consider meditation. You can kind of relax. It will kind of help relax your head more, relax your mind more, and your body more, and stuff like that. Meditation can kind of help you detach away from what's causing your misery and depression and sadness and stuff. Meditation. There are obviously, first of all, what is meditation? When you kind of like, stereotypical, like the stereotypical Buddha. He's crossed his legs and he's kind of like looking into himself and stuff like that. That's what meditation is. You can kind of consider doing your own research on meditation and stuff. There's obviously a bunch of different ways to do meditation. I'm not going to kind of spoon feed you my own personal ways to do it. And obviously, the Buddha, you just sit like the Buddha and close your eyes and just breathe in and out and stuff, and that might help kill your depression. Okay, so far I've discussed in terms of treating depression. You can kind of obviously eat a better, healthier, more nutritious diet. You can work on your social life more, get out more, talk to people and stuff, communicate with people, be around more people and stuff. That might treat and kill your depression. And obviously you can meditate and stuff like that, sit like the Buddha and close your eyes and breathe in and out. Or what else? It's kind of very tricky. And then, you can kind of, in terms of treating your depression, you can do the things that you like. You can do like more, obviously you got hobbies, interests and stuff like that. You can kind of look into that more in your own personal life. I don't know. Invest more into your personal hobbies and interests. That might kind of treat your depression. I don't know. Again, this is so tricky because I cannot relate to like what you're going through and stuff. You might have your own personal problems. You might be suffering depression because of a bunch of different personal reasons that I cannot relate to and stuff. So I cannot spoon feed you my own advice. But in terms of treating depression, obviously, eat a more healthier, better, more nutritious diet. Focus on improving your social life, get out more, talk to people and stuff like that. Obviously, meditation, sit like the Buddha and breathing it out and stuff. And your hobbies and interests, kind of invest more into that. Spend more time on your hobbies and interests. That might obviously try to help kill your depression. And of course, this is going to be kind of, again, a little bit more wishy-washy, but consider exercising more. Exercise is very it's not appreciated enough. Exercise is super important. Take like exercise, go outside and run around or something, or go do push-ups or sit-ups or something like this. Exercise more. And, it sounds wishy-washy, but exercise, and it sounds like it's kind of like cliche as well. But exercise, the psychological effects of exercising is kind of they're not appreciated enough. When you exercise your brain, like the neurotransmitters are literally changing your experiencing. Your brain is it's releasing so many different endorphins, dopamine, serotonin. All of these things are going to help kind of alleviate your depression. So exercise more. What else? Obviously, there's a ton of other things you can do. Maybe like depression, it might be because of your because of the type of society and culture you live in. Maybe consider moving abroad. That might help kill your depression, treat it at least a little bit. I don't know. Move to a different country, talk to different types of people. I don't know. Change your lifestyle up and stuff like that. I don't know. Of course, this depends on why you're depressed, because you probably have your own personal reasons and stuff. Depression, again. In terms of treating depression, again, I discussed so far that you can kind of eat a more healthy, nutritious, better diet. That can kind of help treat your depression. You can, because your brain's a physical organ, it needs like specific nutrients, so you can kind of eat a better, healthier, more nutritionally adequate diet, and that might help treat your depression. And what else? Obviously, you can focus on working on your social life, talk to more people, communicate with more people, get out more, talk to people, blah blah blah, stuff like this. It's kind of cliche, but that as well. And obviously, meditation, you can sit like the Buddha, breathe in and out, and close your eyes, and that might relax you more. And then obviously also hobbies and interests, you could kind of consider looking at that and investing more into your personal life in that regard, like looking more at what you like doing and stuff like that, your hobbies and interests, kind of investing more into that and stuff. And obviously exercise, you can kind of start doing different routines, different exercise routines. You can start running around outside, jogging, doing push-ups, sit-ups, stuff like this, weightlifting, and using dumbbells, barbells, stuff like that. I don't need to kind of spoon feed you specific like routines and stuff, and specifics. I don't. Damn, my camera just shut off again. Yeah, but anyway, I don't need to spoon feed you anything specific, right? Depression is a very personal issue and problem, so I can't really spoon feed you anything specific here. Depression is a very, very, very serious issue. It's a type of psychological pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain that you experience. So it's completely unlike anything that can be just let's just say you broke your finger and whatever, and you're hurting a lot, obviously, but obviously this is like very serious, but you can just kind of sort of bandage up all the damage. You can kind of fix everything like physically and stuff. You can maybe go to a surgeon or a doctor, and you can kind of treat this like physical pain that you have in your finger because it's broken. You can kind of go to a doctor or a surgeon. They can give you painkillers, or they can reconstruct the bones or whatever and stuff like that, and help kind of treat this physical injury and pain that you have. But depression is like kind of unlike this. It's unlike anything that's any type of physical pain that you might have. It's unlike any type of physical problem or ailment. Right? It cannot be just instantly treated. It's a depression. Obviously, you might have some type of chemical imbalance in your brain, and there are like some types of antidepressants that can help in that regard. But a lot of the time, in a lot of cases, in a lot of the different, mumbling with my words, it's very difficult to talk about this properly. But like depression, typically, like obviously, it could be that you have like some type of chemical imbalance, and obviously you can use antidepressants, or you can change your diet around, or you can do stuff like that to treat that type of depression. But in a lot of cases, like a lot of people, they have something, their depression isn't just caused by some type of chemical imbalance. There's like other types of issues, maybe like some type of trauma from their childhood, or maybe they're dealing with some type of existential problems. Existential depression is kind of, it's like its own thing. Existential depression, you don't feel, you're questioning the life, and you're questioning things and stuff like that. You feel like you're kind of like overwhelmed and stuff. And so depression, existential depression is that's also very serious. So when you're philosophically kind of thinking about life, and you're not seeing any type of meaning in life and stuff like that, it's kind of, and existential depression. There's other types of depression. There's like an endless list of depressions, but typically depression is unlike any type of physical pain that you might experience. Again, you break your finger, obviously you can just go to the doctor, and they can give you like painkillers. They can kind of treat that type of physical problem, physical pain and injury that you have. The doctors or surgeons or other types of physicians that can treat your physical pains and problems and stuff like that. But depression, obviously people would say, well, there are antidepressants and stuff, and that can work. And there's obviously, I don't really have a lot to say in that regard. Obviously, antidepressants might help treat your depression, maybe in some slight ways. But again, I guess that depends on what type of depression you're suffering from. And again, depression is such a personal problem, and so there are no like, I can't just kind of give you like a quick answer from my tongue. Like, it's such a personal problem and stuff. Typically, depression is like, depression is again, it's a psychological, spiritual, emotional pain that you might be suffering from and stuff. And obviously you can take antidepressants, but I don't know if that's very appropriate or something like that. Usually though, like depression, again, it's unlike any type of physical pain you might have, any type of physical injury. Depression typically it's more like, a lot of people they typically suffer from like, obviously you can have a chemical imbalance in your brain and you can use antidepressants and stuff like that to treat that type of depression, but there's also like existential depression. There's like so many different, like depression is not just linked to like having a chemically imbalanced brain. There's so many different reasons for someone to be depressed and stuff. Existential reasons, typically, in my opinion, like like life. You might look at life and you might think that's just not worth living and stuff like that. You might not see the value in life at all, like having living at all and stuff like that. You might be, suicidal depression. That's like when you want to just kind of quickly end it all and stuff. Depression. Are you depressed? If you are, I mean, I already gave you a lot of pointers and tips that you can consider, but obviously depression is such a personal issue, so personal, so private and stuff like that. I cannot. It's up to you to find your way out of that type of out of like any type of pit of depression that you might be stuck in and stuff like that. It's up to you to kind of to climb out of that type of pit of depression or despair and stuff. I cannot help you in any meaningful way, because depression is such a personal problem. It's a personal issue, and but I gave you some tips and pointers that you can kind of consider. Hopefully you do consider a lot of what I said in this video, hopefully, and stuff. Depression is such a personal problem. It's such a personal issue and stuff. I cannot, that's why I'm kind of mumbling all over this video, because I cannot like specify anything for you, right? Because if you're depressed, you have to deal with you have to fight your own demons. I cannot help you in that way and stuff, you know what I mean? It's up to you to kind of, climb out of your pit of despair and depression.